dog.
We have your dog.
Whoa.
Wonder who he belongs to.
Sit, boy. Hey, look, he's trained. Shake. Uh-huh. Speak.
Hi there.
Did that dog just say hi there?
Oh, yes.
Brad!
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you.
What?
My master made me this collar. He is a good and smart master, and he made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Abraham.
And Nick.
How y'all doing tonight?
I'm good.
I'm doing really good, man.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Good weekend. Even greater movie to watch. I'm ready to talk about it. I've been stewing a lot. Just like last week, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a text. We have a group chat, and Nick texted in the group chat, I'm assuming after you finished the movie.
I did, yeah.
You said, bro, I'm so ready to talk about it.
I was sitting there. This is for the audio. I was sitting there going... And I had to text you guys. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. Because there's a lot, man. There's a lot.
All right.
There's a lot to this movie.
So what movie are we talking about, Abe?
We're talking about the 2009 film Up. It is written by Pete Docter and Bob Peterson, and it is directed by Pete Docter. So, yeah, that's the movie.
So, before we even kind of get started here, I mean, I know everyone knows what Up is. I want to get your guys' history on Pixar movies and where this one ranks. I know, 'cause I want to bring that up because I don't actually know the Pixar movies you've actually seen. So I think it'd be interesting.
I've seen like
the classics.
Yeah, like I've for Pixar movies for me, they're not my favorite. But like when it comes to Pixar, like I've seen like, you know, classics like Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Finding Nemo.
The Incredibles.
Yeah,
Dang.
Incredibles.
Finding
That
Nemo.
hurts me that you like stopped for a second to think of what you watched.
Yeah, it's just they're not in my canon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's when The Incredibles came out, my youngest brother was born, and that was his favorite movie, and we would watch it on repeat. So I started to grow resentment for the film because literally all the time we would finish Incredibles, and he'd be like, "Mom,
Like,
again." And I'd be like, "Oh, dude, I'm so tired of watching The Incredibles, bro."
Yeah.
But and what's after Incredibles? I don't know.
So much.
There's a lot of movies. You haven't seen like Good Dinosaur, Brave.
You haven't seen the Good
Moana,
Dinosaur?
Coco, all that. None of that.
I've seen Moana,
Okay.
but that was just because my niece and nephew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go out of my way to watch the new Pixar films.
And Kanto, the one that's the most recent
I haven't
one.
seen. That's the only one I haven't seen yet.
Okay.
No,
You have watched Soul though.
I have watched Soul,
Okay.
and that was because of my nephew. Yeah. But I actually really liked Soul. When I did watch it, I know he had just wanted to watch it because it's the new Pixar movie and he's a child, but he put it on and I was like, this is actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I liked the story and all the music and the use of jazz throughout it and all that stuff. It was just really cool. But, Monsters Inc.
Yeah, Monsters
Say
Inc.
Monsters Inc. I
Same
like
director.
Monsters Inc. a lot.
Monsters Inc. was one of the greats.
One of the
Yeah.
greatest. Yeah.
What about you? Where does Up rank for you?
Top 5.
Top 5?
Top 5 for Pixar.
Top 5 Pixar. I actually would agree with you with that.
Because I think my top 3 is Big Hero 6, A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., and then I would say Up, and then 5. I don't know, actually.
I don't know. I'm thinking now, I feel like it would be a good idea to just have them all in front of us and then have a video of us just listing all of the ones we've seen and what we think about them, like, briefly. You know what I mean? Because there's enough now. There's, like, what?
I want to say there's, like, at least 30.
At least 30.
I want to say,
I
yeah.
feel like that could be pretty good. I feel like I've seen them all, too. So
Be a short list for me.
No, but how many times have you seen Up?
Oh, gosh. Probably, like, 5 or 6 times.
I think I watch it at least twice a year.
Yeah. And it's such an easy movie, too. It's quick to watch.
Yeah, it was fast.
Yeah.
I've
that's
only
for
seen
sure.
this once.
Yeah, it was your first time.
Yeah.
We got an interesting perspective then.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, we do. I got a couple of questions about it, but we'll get into that in a later category.
Okay.
What didn't work, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are some things where I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the thing about Pixar movies, and I kind of categorize them differently than like, oh yeah, these are like movies, but no,
this is
these are
Pixar
like
movies.
movies and Pixar movies. They all kind of follow the same basic structure.
yeah, they're very formulaic.
They are very formulaic, and they always have like very fantastical plots, and you know, so I always give it the benefit of the doubt that it's not going to be as believable as like like a movie.
It's a
You know what I
children's
mean?
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's
I
so
mean,
much
it-
more. There's so much more than children's movie because you can learn so much more from.
Well,
this.
I've heard it being described as like a children's movie that adults also enjoy.
Mm.
And I definitely think it's true.
Yeah.
With this one at least. But we can get
100%.
we can get deeper into that. You want to do a little synopsis?
Yeah, a
we get
synopsis for
started.
me is old man, wife dies, 1,000 balloons, Paradise Falls. No.
There you go. That's it.
Caveman.
No, it's about a man who is, I feel like I want to say like discovering himself again. And basically goes on a wild adventure with a little kid and just discovers himself again. Pretty much, and yeah,
Goes to Paradise Falls.
goes to Paradise Falls.
You said 1,000 balloons, but it's probably more like
Probably like trillion. Who
Yeah.
knows?
it-
Million.
there's quite a few balloons.
I don't know
there.
where he got all those things from, bro. He's stealing from work. He's a criminal.
He is.
He's on the run from the law.
I didn't actually think about that. Like, where did he get all of? He just, you know,
And
that,
all the helium.
dude, all those little
All the
canisters
drugs,
outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this movie's streaming on not HBO Max. Sorry, on
We're just so used to saying HBO Max now, dude.
It's on Disney Plus. I'm sure it's gonna be there for a long time. It's gonna
Yeah.
be there to stay. So check it out if you haven't checked it out. And this is up.
All right.
All right.
Well, I mean, it's your pick. Let's
Yeah.
Well, let's give a spoiler warning as well. I would be surprised if a lot of people haven't seen this film, but if you
You
haven't,
didn't.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, again, I don't watch Pixar movies just because
know,
I
I'm
want
just
to
giving
watch
you a
them.
hard time.
Gotcha.
But you know, if you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. Like we said, streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But start us off with your first favorite scene.
My first favorite scene is meeting Ellie for the first time. So this is we get the beginning of the movie. We get introduced to just straight into this character we don't know the name of yet, but he's watching this movie of gosh, I hate this guy, but I already know his
Charles
name.
Muntz.
Yeah,
Charles Muntz, and he's basically a adventurer,
Yeah, an explorer.
an explorer, and he's just going around the world collecting fossils and just showing the world and what it has to show to give.
Like the Loch Ness monster,
Yeah,
Bigfoot,
like-
all the kind of like mystical mythical beasts.
And so it's like he's like super into it, and eventually it finishes, the movie finishes, and he's walking and he's acting like Charles Muntz, and then you see this broken down house, and you hear a little girl screaming, "Adventure is out there!" And it's Ellie, which is a little girl who's the same exactly like him, who loves this guy, who loves Paradise Falls, who wants to just be an adventurer. And I just love it because he's like, whoa, he's in this house, like, this is amazing, like, what kind of house is this? Like, it has all the artifacts or fake artifacts, and eventually she just says, "What are you doing in here?" Like, scares the crap out of him. And from that moment, I was like, bro, she's wild, like, and I
You
I
see
just
her
love
hair
it.
when she takes off her little thing. It's
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
old afro. Yeah, she holds the same commonality of like she likes to explore, but she honestly couldn't be different from him.
No.
Right? He's got this like very square face. He's animated very stiff and plain.
Yeah.
And we even see that when they get married and we see his side of the family, and they're all just sitting there like all nice and
Dude,
proper.
that scene is also
And
wild.
her family's going
Yeah.
and to see them kind of juxtapose each other like that, but work so well with that commonality of loving to explore and to be adventurers together. And I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot. I like how they also do the whole, they talk about a lot of the things that they bring back throughout the film, where it's like she brings up her plan in her little book of wanting to go to Paradise Falls, and her having her adventure book, and seeing all of the stuff she's collected at that point, and getting to the page where it says what I do when I get to Paradise Falls or something like that.
Yeah.
And she makes him cross his heart that's where they're gonna go when they get older and all that stuff. And it's very efficient at setting up each other's character and starting the budding of their relationship. And I like a lot too how she's not a very big role in this movie when it comes to actual time, right? Yeah. She's just at the beginning, and she's the one who does literally all the talking. She's the one that's going crazy and like being wacky, zany, and all that stuff, and he's very subdued and quiet. And I like how that role switches later on, and he gets to be more of the more outspoken and all that. And it kind of just sets up the emotional, the emotional damage of what happens later on. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, but the montage of their relationship together.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, it's just like Nick was saying, it's the culmination of all of this character building that happens within the first 5 minutes of the film, and it gets put on like a fast track. And we see these characters get married and grow old with one another, and meanwhile, while they're doing so, life happens, and they're saving for Paradise Falls, putting all the coins in that little bottle, and then God forbid tire blows out. Got to use that money. Life happens. We got to fix the stuff that we can and all that stuff, and it goes through all of these things. And my first immediate bro moment was whenever they're trying to they're staring at the clouds, and they're like, oh, I see a turtle, I see a hippo with wings and all stuff, and then Ellie's like, oh, I see a baby up there. And then they start talking about having babies, and there's like a ton of babies in the clouds, and then they're like, okay, like let's try to have a baby, and then all of a sudden it felt like almost like parody, like where it was like, oh man, let's have all this happy time, and then it's all, we can't have children.
She's crying in the doctor's office.
Yeah, and it's like all dark and everything, and it's like a very like somber moment. I'm like, this is a kids movie.
Seriously.
Like what is this? This is a kids movie.
Yeah.
And I immediately was like, dang, all right, so they can't have children. That's rough. But then it goes out, and they find other purpose rather than having children. They continue to share life with one another, and continue to save for Paradise Falls and all that stuff. And then it gets to the point where they're old now.
Yeah.
And Carl starts to recognize that they still haven't gone, and this was something that he crossed his heart, said he would do. So he goes, buys tickets to go to Venezuela, and as they're going up that hill to look at the clouds that they normally do, she's having trouble getting up that hill, and then eventually falls over, and then we find out that she straight up dies.
Straight up dies.
Yeah. Like we find out that she just passes away, and immediately like when you see him just like sitting at the altar, like with the balloon alone, there's just flowers and all this stuff and everything, and then the background kind of fades away, and he just walks to his house alone, and that music is playing. I was tearing up, not gonna lie.
The music really hit it home.
The music feeds into your emotions.
It does.
Yeah. So
seeing this,
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. That was one scene that definitely made me tear up.
Yeah.
So
it was such an effective way of showing their relationship. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I thought it was so perfect that it was still very focused on the plot of the movie, which is going to Paradise Falls. But just the way we got to see them like slowly loving each other, and you get to see them start out as he's the balloon guy for all the kids at the zoo, and she's the adventurer there that probably does tours or whatever.
She like the zoologist, I guess.
Yeah, zoologist, and to see them work together so beautifully in that, and we also get she is an adventurer, she is continuing her passion, and he's doing the balloon thing. That's where it comes up later. It's all kind of connecting the plot down the line.
Yeah.
All throughout this montage, and we get to see her fix his ties every day, and I don't know, I just thought it was incredibly effective at setting these two characters up, and then watching us. It was so full of love. I don't think I don't think anyone can deny that, you know, especially when they go through that heavy time of not being able to have a kid for whatever reason. They decide to, instead of be sad about it, they decide to, you know, to look at it with a new perspective and to be like, we still have joy left, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best montages or uses of a like fast-paced montage to get us brought up to speed of what's going on now. So, have any other favorite scenes other than that?
I do. Do you? You haven't said yours.
I do. Oh, I didn't, huh?
No.
So mine is when it's when the house starts to take off.
Oh, I got one before that.
Okay, go ahead.
I love. So this is actually, we get to see Carl. So Carl, we find out his name is Carl, Mr. Fredrickson, but his name is Carl. And we see that he's finally just living his life by himself. And he's just going along his day. And my favorite scene is when the construction worker comes up to him and tries to talk to him, and he gets the leaf
bops him on the head.
That's just the bro moment.
Yeah, that guy.
But he gets the leaf blower, and he's just blowing it on his face, like, get away from my house, like. And it's just, I don't know, a cute, funny scene for me. I find myself laughing a lot in this film.
Yeah.
And
I'd actually read something too about this in that scene. I didn't know that this film was supposed to take place in Oakland.
really,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, like the Fenton's ice cream that they go to at the end, like that's an area of Oakland that they go through. So I
That's
wonder
pretty
if
cool.
Yeah, so I wonder if like it's even this movie is trying to hit on like topics of gentrification.
Oh,
Because,
maybe.
You know, his house is the only house. It used to be like this whole neighborhood, and now it's getting torn down. And there's all this new stuff coming up. We see like smoothie places across the street. And all
There's
that and
like a
everything.
sushi place, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do love that shot of, you know, his house, and he's framed in the middle, and all around him is construction.
Yeah.
And we get the idea that this house is extremely sentimental to him. You know, it's not only a house that he grew up in, but I feel like he also connects it with his wife, right?
Yeah, just like Monster House.
Just like Monster House.
Yeah.
What's that name? Like Constance or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
That would be it.
Constant.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So, your shingles are all ruffled.
You know what?
Get off of my lawn.
That's a movie we got to do too.
Right.
Yeah, I like
Mr.
Monster
Nutcracker.
That's a goated movie.
That's a goat movie right there. But yeah, it's like he's desperately holding on to this house, and it's kind of like he's desperately holding on to the idea of his wife. Right? He's having a really hard time letting go, and the happy-go-lucky guy we see him at the beginning, now he's this bitter and angry,
crotchety old man.
crotchety. It almost like he's moving slower, like he's pretty much coming to the end of his life, right? And he goes out to the mailbox that we get to see them paint together, and he pulls out the retirement home stuff, and immediately we're like, this guy's like at the end of his ropes.
Yeah.
And the scene you were talking about, someone starts to back up into that really important mailbox, and he goes, hey, what the heck? He comes out there, the guy's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. We'll fix it right away. Let me help you. And he's not helping him, and then he just goes, how do I want you here? Smacks him on his head, dude.
Yeah. Which is a bro moment for me, because off the dome, I don't think of any other Pixar movies that show blood.
Blood, right? I was surprised.
Yeah. I was kind of like, oh, they show blood. Like,
Isn't that?
like they straight up cut. Like, he has a gash and he's
he's cut.
bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, I never would have thought I would see that in a Pixar film.
Me neither. I thought that was somewhat like it had to be rated R to show blood or something like that. I guess not.
No, and I think it's the rated P.
Rated P.
Rated G.
PG, parental. Okay, parental guidance.
Yeah.
And it leads to my scene where, because he hits the guy, the police come, take him away, and he goes to court for it, and they basically tell him, like, you know, what does he call, or what does the police call him? Menace to society, doesn't she say?
No, I think they said, like, they don't call her a menace to society.
Oh, she goes,
Imagine
She says, like, you're a public something. I think public menace.
a public menace?
I think
Because she
something
goes,
Nah, man,
she
it's
goes,
the society sounds way better.
yeah, it does. She goes, you know, sir, you don't seem like a menace to me, or
Yeah.
whatever. And they're basically forcing him to go into a home.
Yeah.
And you know, the guys come. They're like, okay, we're ready to take you. And he goes, let me take one last look around the house. And all of a sudden, I love this scene too, because it's where the fanatical element of this film comes into play, which is, you know, a thousands of balloons, and it's first off, the animation of this is beautiful.
Yeah, I love the use of color.
It's
The use of color is amazing.
it blows
in
my
this
mind.
movie.
2009, and it still looks absolutely
It
incredible.
looks phenomenal.
All the balloons come out the chimney, and the guys are looking up, and you see how like the light diffuses and the colors shine on their face. I loved it. But the house ends up gets taken up and floating, and he goes, I don't remember what he screams out the window.
So long, you fool. Something like
Something
that.
like that. And dude, this has probably got to be some of my favorite stills of this film. Is
Yeah.
when they're up high in the sky, and all you see is the house,
In the balloons.
the balloons, and beautiful blue sky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite stills. Is just like you said, the house, and then it's literally blue, and then clouds.
Mhm.
Which there's nothing, and there's a part in the movie where you can tell that it's moving, but it doesn't look like it's moving,
It's just
and it's just in the middle of your screen,
yeah.
and that's one of my favorite stills.
Yeah, extremely vibrant. I think it actually looks incredibly realistic, honestly. Like, I think a lot of the things that Pixar and Disney and all them do is they have very realistic environments, but the characters are very stylized. And I think it actually really works, and that's why I think animation will never die. We said that before we started, is because you can get so much more expression out of people, and I just think it works.
Yeah.
I love animation, and I love this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the beginning of the whole plot of him making his way to Paradise Falls.
Mhm.
So
My next favorite scene is someone that we haven't talked about is Russell. So Russell is this little boy who is a wilderness explorer. I think that's what it is, and he has to get his last patch, which is helping the elderly.
I have to help you cross something.
But my favorite part is when they're already in the sky. You would think he's by himself. He's just chilling, sitting on his little chair, and all of a sudden you hear knock, 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 and he goes, "What in the heck?" And ignores it, and then it's a faster knock, and at that point you can tell it's a scary knock, like someone's scared, at least for me. And and he opens the door, nothing, looks to the side, and then looks to his right, and then you just see Russell, hiding in the corner, like, "Can you let me in?" Like,
And he straight up says, no. And closes the door at first.
That's what I like about it. And I found myself laughing super hard at this moment, because when he says no, it's literally a moment of silence, and you see Russell just heavily breathing. And then he goes, "Fine." Before he can finish the sentence, Russell runs in and just, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I laughed so hard watching this scene.
How do you feel about Russell as a character, both of you?
I love Russell.
Just
Yeah. I don't feel any type of way about him, I think.
a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it, especially when you like think about him in the grander aspects of the movie. Like thematically, he serves, like as the child that they never had, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can appreciate it in that aspect. I mean, he gives Carl, a whole new meaning rather than, just only living for Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gives, it gives an entire new purpose to Carl as a character and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. That's why I appreciated him a lot. But I think your favorite scene is pretty close to being next, right?
Yeah, it's whenever they find the, what do they call it?
The snipe.
The snipe.
Snipe.
Yeah, and it's whenever Russell and Carl they got the house attached to their backs, and they're like walking around with it, trying to move it to Paradise Falls, and they're going on this whole adventure, and traversing through the jungle and all this stuff, and they stop for a moment, and Carl breaks out a candy bar and starts to eat it, and while he's first to say he's going to the bathroom. And it was pretty funny, the whole like, do you dig the hole before or after? You go,
It's before.
There he goes, "It's none of my business."
yeah. And he says, "It's before." And then you see him
And you
have
see
a
the
mound.
mound.
All this stuff, and he's all, "Good, I don't think anyone will get to that."
Yeah.
So I think it's funny. And then he breaks out chocolate bar, which gross. Just
Right
just
afterwards,
poop,
yeah.
bruh. Now you about to eat some chocolate? That's
Yeah.
nasty. But he starts eating, and we see like it's almost like Jurassic Park. Like we see like this like thing move across the camera, and then there's something in the bushes and all this stuff, and you see this big old beak peek through the leaves and like takes a bite of the chocolate, and Russell is like, what the heck was that? And then does it again, and eventually we get to reveal what the snipe is, and it's what they come to call Kevin, who is a girl.
Yeah.
So they find this creature that Charles Muntz was clowned for, and immediately befriend it, and the whole time that they're Kevin is having this relationship with Russell. Russell comes back and is like, hey, the snipe, is it like really tall? And he's like, oh yeah, like talking as if like, oh yeah, like this kid will never, it's not real. He'll never find that thing. And he's like, does it have a really large beak? Is it blue? Does it have blue feathers and like all this stuff? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he finally turns around and sees it, and he's like, what the heck is that thing? Get it out of here, and starts to freak out. And, this is where we see Kevin's, charisma as a character, and like, just its whole zaniness, and like just acting wild and loving on Russell and eating its chocolate and all that stuff. And it was a scene where I was just kind of like, this is cute. It's wholesome. So,
For sure, yeah.
That leads into my next favorite scene, which is super small, but it's Carl's trying to get rid of Kevin. And it's literally right after yours. And Carl's literally yelling at Kevin, and Kevin is doing exactly what Carl's doing, but in his like animal form. So like he's yelling like, get out of here, and then Kevin just does it, and
he just goes
and yeah, it's super small, but it made me laugh so hard because I was like, I've never seen a movie that does that with an animal and with a creature and a human. And it just, for me, it just made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, they give him a lot of character.
For an animal, yeah, they give him a lot of character,
which I loved. Mine is actually when they meet their next companion.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Doug. So we get introduced to these like alpha pack of dogs that are trying to hunt the snipe, and they have these machines on them that they can speak basically.
Yeah.
And we get introduced to like these ravageous dogs, and they're walking through. They're with Kevin and with the house on their backs, and they go, oh wait, we see a human, because they hear someone, and they're going through, and they're like, oh, the human ends up being a rock formation. And they go, hey, that one looks like a dog, and it is, but it's how would you categorize him? He's like the runt,
the outcast,
while all these other dogs are like like bulldogs and Rottweilers and like super alpha.
Yeah.
This guy is like a golden retriever.
Yeah, and he's all lovey.
Yeah.
Head's full in the clouds and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like him as a character. I like that one of the directors voiced him.
Yeah.
I think it was Rob Peterson, right? Bob Peterson voiced him, which I think was funny. One of the facts I had was that he considers it one of his favorite roles he's done.
Yeah.
But I like the energy he brings. I like that, he immediately is talking to Carl like, you're my master. And he's like, no, I don't freaking want you. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're my master and I love you.
I love you already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked his dynamic.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So actually I skipped a lot. My last favorite scene is the very end.
Really?
Yeah. Like, just because I put my absolute favorite scenes. So I don't know if you have anything in between.
I will shorten it down, but I had the one where he finally decides to go through that adventure book, and the reason why I love it is because we get a bunch of scenes where he pulls the book out when he's old, and he's looking through them, and he gets to the page that says stuff to do when we get to Paradise Falls, and it's like he can't bring himself to turn the page.
Yeah, because previously Ellie had said like, from here on out, like past this page, like I'm only gonna fill it out whenever I get to Paradise Falls. So, and
it's almost like so hard for him that he can't even do it.
Yeah.
And it's at this point where we did skip a whole bunch, and we'll talk about it more in bro moments, but it's at the point kind of towards the very end where Kevin is gone, Kevin gets taken, Russell goes and tries to find him or tries to get Kevin back and all that stuff, and he finally gets his house at Paradise Falls. He is finally there. His quest is done. And it's finally at the time where he sits down to read the book, and he can't do it again. And he closes it, but he notices that there's something already there, and he gets confused. So he finally decides to go through it. It made me sad. This is what I didn't cry, but I was really getting teared up because, he starts to realize that Ellie, sure, she wanted to go to Paradise Falls, but the adventure that she realized was the life that she got to live with him, and you get to see, their lives together.
Yeah.
Then when they were young, then when they were getting married, just very candid pictures of her sitting in the windowsill and them just loving each other. And at the very end of it, he reads, she writes like, "Thanks for the adventure.
Yeah.
Now go make your own," or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was very wholesome to see that, and
it made me tear up because when he reads that, it made me realize that she probably wrote that when she was about to die. Because when we get to that scene, she just pushes the book to him, and he doesn't open it. So then that makes me kind of makes it a little worse. Cause like, dang, she just wrote that while she is on her deathbed, basically, and he doesn't know what's in there.
And he realized that, the adventure that they had together was just living their lives together. Like that was enough, and it kind of helps him to detach himself from the home. And I love it too, and it's really powerful because at that moment he realizes what's truly important to him, and the new life he's going to create is with Doug and with Kevin and with Russell and all that. So I think it is super powerful because throughout this film he's really keen on keeping all of his like knickknacks right in place where they should be, especially his two chairs, where he sat, where she sat. And, he knows that in order to get this house up and flying, he needs to remove weight. And he finally just starts to throw all that stuff out. Like, it doesn't have the same connection anymore, right? His whole new purpose in life is completely different, and he decides to leave it all. And I think one of the most beautiful scenes is, the house takes off. He puts his little makeshift sails back out, and we get left with the two chairs.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Right next to the falls.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was beautiful. A beautiful, send off to. It's not the final send off, but it's the
it's a send off to their story.
To their story, yeah. So that was one of my favorite ones.
Any more before the end?
The only other one I had was when the house floated off.
Oh, at the end.
At the very end on the blimp, he realizes that the only way to survive this situation is to let go of the house. And I wasn't going to talk about it here because it's something that worked for me. I guess, you want me to save it? I could save it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll save it for what worked. But the house floating away.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Very heartbreaking too.
Yeah.
It's just a house, but while we've been through with it, it's so much more than that.
Yeah. My last favorite scene is the pinning of the pin. If that makes
the
sense.
grape soda.
The grape soda, yes. So we get to the end of the movie, and Russell is at his ceremony to become a senior wilderness explorer. And basically this entitles to just having all the pins filled on his patch of pins on his
Sash.
I didn't know how to say that. And it gets to him, and finally the announcer's like, "Do you have anybody with him?" And we get a little backstory of him that his mom and dad are not together, and so you would hope it's his dad, because he says, "Well, my dad says when I get the last pin, he'll be at my ceremony." So we get there, but then you hear Carl's voice, "I'm here for him. Excuse me," and he goes, "Well," the announcer gives the patch to him, and he goes, "You are now a senior wilderness explorer." And then instead of that patch of helping the elderly, he puts the the Ellie badge, which is the grape soda pin, which I thought was amazing because from what all they went through, you can see his face is still super dirty, and he's super excited that Carl's the one that's giving it to him. And it's just a wholesome moment between them that they're gonna get to cherish forever.
Yeah, I was definitely crying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I teared up as well.
I was crying right here because, man, it's just it's a nice bookend. It's so wholesome, so wholesome. How'd you feel about the end, Isaiah?
It's
You didn't cry?
No.
No.
The only time I really teared up or anything like that was the marriage sequence. Yeah.
Okay.
Married life.
I can testify to that because I looked over and he said,
Yeah, and I said, "You got me tearing up in the club right now." Man.
"Yeah." Literally, his eyes were glossy, and he goes, "That was cute."
Yeah.
That was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it had me feeling that way too.
Yeah. And that's up.
That's
Yeah.
up.
I like too how they end it where at the ice cream shop.
Yeah. and
Yeah,
they're counting the cars like you
Yeah.
said.
There's a red one.
Yeah. And he's like, "There's a red one. That's a fire hydrant." like, just going through things that that Russell had said that previously that the boring stuff is what he remembers the most.
Yeah.
And that actually goes into my best quote for this film, which is from Russell, which says, "The boring stuff is the stuff that I tend to remember the most." And I liked that whole scene too, where he's kind of like talking about, going to that ice cream shop and sitting on the curb and counting the cars and just, sharing a moment with someone. And, while it's not the most, crazy experience and it's not, something that I'm going to go tell all my friends about, that's the stuff that meant the most to him. And it was, not the craziness of life, but almost the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's true for a lot of people as well. Whenever it comes to summarizing a person's life or remembering times that you had with that person. Sure enough, you can find some crazy moments that you've had with the person, and reminisce on those. But the things that mean the most are when you're truly spending time with the person,
Yeah.
not when we're going to this water park and we did all this crazy stuff. Like you could do all that stuff and never really know a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the type of character that Russell is. I really like that quote.
All right.
I don't have any quotes.
That was the only one I had written down. I like there's not really much quotable here. I'm just
No.
gonna get blunt with it.
Yeah.
There isn't.
So
Yeah, that was the only thing that I had written down for that category.
me too.
Do you have any bro moments?
I do. Yeah, I do have a few bro moments. The first one being, and I'm gonna skip around. I didn't really write them in order. The first one is when Charles brings the sword out and is literally trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And he's blocking himself with his little cane and he pulls it out and fights back. But I actually felt like he was in a lot of danger. I mean, we already see characters die.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So
My only bro moment is him getting kicked out for bopping that guy in the head. Like
going to court.
Yeah, he really they were like, "Hey, you're a public menace. You can't live in your house anymore. Sell it to those people."
Menace to society.
Yeah, which I also thought was really interesting. I don't know if this is something about the film, but I thought it was so strange and interesting how they make the people, like the guys in suits, they made them look almost like alien.
They did.
Like they made them look like they were like, of another world.
Yeah.
And and they had like no emotion. They had they were very, staunch and were, they have no almost like statue
Yeah.
they have no emotion, cold-hearted, I don't care about anything else but business. I don't care that you have your house right here. I will give you money to tear it down so I can build a
What I wanna build.
Bowlaroo.
Whatever.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting the way that they depicted those characters versus everybody else that feels like they are colorful and are full of life and all that stuff, and then contrast with these guys that are very pale and
That's what they're missing.
all that stuff.
A little bit about the company. So have you guys ever heard of the Pixar theory?
No.
There's
It's a crazy long theory, but what it basically says is that all of the Pixar movies are in one giant universe, one giant timeline, and there's certain ways you can piece all the movies together into one giant timeline. And I like that you bring up how alien they feel, and it's a company, you can see it in the construction. There's a company called By and Large, and if you don't know, have you seen WALL-E?
It's been a long time since I've watched it.
So By and Large is the company that overproduces it's like the consumption machine of that world, and it's slowly what it pollutes the entire world. It's By and Large, B&L, and to see to see him in this movie being so cold and always caring about the corporation and building more and more and more, it's kind of like the starting point of how B&L became so powerful
Mm.
and how it started to slowly destroy the world.
Oh, okay. I
And
see.
it makes sense that their employees or their corporate businessmen are like these very alien people that
Yeah.
don't really care about humanity.
Yeah.
They just care about products and and selling and collecting money.
That's interesting.
So it's really cool. You should look it up. The Pixar theory. It seems to be.
That lends credence to it as well, because there's a sequence whenever the house is floating away. We see like that ball from Toy Story.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
to that.
Like
see two-
he pointed out Laszlo from Toy Story 3
Yep.
is in it.
When it's floating up, you can see a Pizza Planet truck as well.
Yeah.
They got to throw in all their.
A little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring that up. I thought it was interesting to see them be like, they look like Men in Black, kind of like.
Yeah.
Like they
But
would
hit 'em
memory
with the
wipe you.
freaking
Yeah.
neuralizer.
So
But that's my only bro moment. You guys got any?
My brother was Russell showing up when the house is floating.
yeah,
Just because I'm like, only him.
you
would
wouldn't
be-
expect it.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he explains of how he got up there makes so much sense, because he's like, I followed the snipe, and it just seems like it's just a large rat.
That's how he ends up on the porch.
Yeah,
My bro moment was when they fly into the storm,
dude.
and he ends up getting like knocked out, and Carl's like, "Yeah, you steered us through it, or I steered us, and you just took a really long nap."
I thought you were dead.
Yeah, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And that's the scene where he's trying to save all of his memorabilia.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. And then the last one I had was the dad not showing up.
Yeah,
I was a big bro moment.
I didn't think about that.
He did
'Cause
not
he
show up.
says, "Oh, he's gonna show up."
He said he
And he
would,
didn't.
but he didn't.
That's all that I have.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, if that's it for bro moments, let's get into facts.
Yeah, I'll hit you with the budget. So it took $175 million to make it, estimated. Opening weekend, it made $68.1 million.
Okay.
Gross in U.S. and Canada made $293 million. And then gross worldwide, it made $735 million.
Almost $1 billion.
Dude.
It made its money for sure.
Those kids' movies will make you money, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who are the money makers right there?
That's gotta. That shows that there's something more to it, right?
I would think so. Or there's
Or it's
a
just the
lot of
kids
kids out there
just, "I
being
wanna
like,
watch Up."
I want to watch Up again.
Fair.
Yeah.
Can't really glean too much from that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a lot, man.
Well, okay. Did it win any awards though?
It did.
Yes,
It's
it
an
did.
Oscar-winning award.
Yeah, it won Oscar for Best Animated Film and Best Score. And then it was also nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
so it won for Best Animated Film. It was nominated for Best Picture of the Year.
I
Wow.
wonder
In
what it was
2009.
going up with.
And it was nominated also for Best Screenplay and Best Sound Editing.
I'm wondering how people would feel about an animated movie winning Best Picture.
Oh, they'd be pissed.
Do you think they would be pissed on?
Yeah.
Has it ever happened? I gotta
I don't
admit,
think
like
so.
probably around the Toy
know.
Story era, I feel like that could be a good contender. Like the starting of Pixar and beating Toy Story would be like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, dude,
be
it went up
honest.
against some crazy movies.
2009.
What we got?
So the winner is The Hurt Locker,
That
With
was a
Jeremy
big,
Renner?
Yeah, that was a big year.
but it came out with Avatar. So Avatar, Up, Precious,
Yeah, Precious.
Precious.
The
I've never
Blind
heard of it.
Side, which I think is a golden movie.
Oh, with Sandra Bullock.
Yes, District 9.
That's
I,
slept on.
dude, I like District
That's
9.
slept
I
on.
really.
I think of, I think
I
of
remember-
District 9. If I think of District 9, I think of the specific scene, and I hate it.
I know. I think of the when he's folded the flowers,
Yeah.
and my heart's like, oh, dude.
Up in the Air,
Never heard of
A
it.
Serious Man, and Education, and Inglorious. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
we know.
yeah.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
But that's what it went up against
Oh,
for
wow.
Best Picture.
All right.
And the Hurt
Some
Locker
heavy
won.
hitters.
Yeah.
Oh, Hurt Locker did win.
Jeremy
Hurt
Renner
Locker
won.
Wow.
Anytime I think of Jeremy Renner, there's a song that he put out.
No.
It's awful. But it opens up with him going, oh, dude, it's so funny, man.
That's Hawkeye right there.
I die laughing at it, dude. There's a comedian I listen to his podcast, and he uses that as a soundbite a lot.
He does.
And it's hilarious, man. I love it. But yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. That Up went against The Hurt Locker, Inglorious, like some pretty crazy heavy hitter movies that were like, man, I remember
You
going and
can't
seeing.
knock on The Blind Side. Don't try to pass.
No, I was about to say I went and saw The Blind Side in theaters with my parents.
I wish I could see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I remember the only reason we watched it is my mom. She's the sucker for based on a true story films.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember watching that in the theater. I still want to check out A Serious Man. I think A Serious Man is a Coen Brothers film I haven't watched yet with the dad from Call Me by Your Name, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of heavy hitters there, which is pretty interesting.
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna solidify my theory in why I think this film is based in Oakland. So at the end of it, there are a ton of Oakland landmarks that are shown throughout the film whenever he's leaving and whenever they're back in their hometown. When they're leaving, the Fox Oakland Theater is shown, and it's actually whenever they're going through the credits. When they're going through the credits and it shows that Star Wars is playing in the background.
I said, dude, Star Wars, what the heck?
Yeah, it's showing that Star Wars is playing in the background. It's playing at the Fox Oakland, the Oakland Fox Theater.
Oh, okay.
There's also the iconic Fenton's Creamery, which they go to, and that's outside of Emeryville, which is near Pixar's headquarters, and it's frequented by Pixar employees. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a little homage to that area of California, Oakland, sort of the Bay Area and everything like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We should go there.
I now fully believe that it was based in Oakland.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was pretty cool was, so the tree that you see when Carl and Ellie go picnicking is supposed to be the same tree that's from A Bug's Life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the Pixar theory, man.
I'm telling you.
That's
and
why.
A Bug's Life came out in 1998. So
I'm surprised I didn't get squashed. Laying down under that tree.
So
That's
what?
wild.
11 years apart, and they're connected.
I'm telling you, you got to go through the Pixar theory.
All
It's
right.
it's incredible.
This is the way you said connected. I was thinking about that.
Connected.
He disconnected.
Man, you guys are dogging on me today.
I know. We're going through it today. I have a fact about young Ellie and who she's voiced by. She's voiced by Pete. It's Pete, the director, Pete Docter.
Oh.
His daughter actually voiced her, and in the book, the adventure book, many of the drawings were created by her.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's super cute. Way to plug in your family.
Also, Pete Docter did all of the vocalization for Kevin.
So him going, ah!
The ooh, I can't. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I'm not doing it again. It would be way louder and way longer.
So I got a fact here about Charles Muntz.
Okay.
All right.
So there were initially different endings for his character. At first, animators considered redeeming him by having him iron out his differences with Carl after they fight on the Zeppelin.
No.
Bad.
However, this ending was deemed too dull,
Yep.
as it would amount to both men simply standing and talking for a length of time.
Bad.
In another scenario, Muntz's obsession with catching Kevin took him inside the dreaded labyrinth against his own recommendation, where he would eventually get lost and die.
That makes sense. Because they bring it up.
Yeah. As the animators wanted to keep the climax situated in the air, they considered having Muntz lured into Carl's house by Kevin and then dying as the house fell off the Zeppelin with him still inside. However, they did not want to associate the house, which symbolized Ellie, with a violent death.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so and another potential ending had Muntz getting tangled into some balloons and then getting lifted away rather than falling.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, but animators felt this was too ambiguous, and it didn't give proper closure to the character. So in the end, they decided that his ending was eventually going to be just falling to his death.
That was a good ending. I'm glad.
Definitely a good ending. And they tied balloons to him too. So it's like, he could have survived. He had the balloons.
Yeah.
So they still kind of were like,
Yeah.
whoa,
There's no way he fell so fast.
He did fall fast. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my last one was, it's kind of, if you paid attention. So you know how Carl's face and body are indeed very square in design. So this is to emphasize how boxed in he was in his life and in his home.
It morphosized his face. He did have a square face.
He
man.
had
It's like his head grew as he got older too. I don't know what happened. He had good proportions when he was young, and when he's like this short, big old box head.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Steve from
Yeah.
Minecraft.
Steve from Minecraft, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah, I have one more, and it was funny just because of the logistics of it. It takes approximately 9 seconds for a skilled worker to fill and tie a balloon of helium, full of helium. It would take just over 12.5 million balloons to lift a standard 1,600 square foot house. Therefore, to inflate the necessary number of balloons for Carl to complete his task would take roughly 3.5 years, assuming he never slept or ate or took a break or anything.
Dang.
And he did it in a night, man.
He's a unit.
He's just Guinness World Record right there.
Yeah, for real.
I just thought it would be funny.
I have another one here, and I thought this was really interesting. So the villain, Charles Muntz,
Okay.
it has a similar name to a Universal Pictures executive in 1928 named Charles Mintz.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very subtle.
Now, yeah, exactly. Change one letter.
Yeah.
But this guy, Charles Mintz, who was a executive at Universal Pictures in 1928, had stole Walt Disney's production rights to the highly successful Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which was before Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So this, that whole drama of him stealing that led to the creation of Mickey Mouse, who eventually would eclipse Oswald in popularity. And they made this guy the villain of Up, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like a slap in the face to him. Huh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys didn't put any of the sad facts.
No, you want to bring that one up because
Dude,
that kind of broke my heart.
I read one last night.
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
You want me to read it?
No. I
No?
read it and I was like, dude, that's heartbreaking.
That's
But
heartbreaking.
it's
so
also
sad.
kind of wholesome.
To end on a movie like this, though.
No.
Do you want me to read it?
I would say if you're curious about it, go to
It
IMDb.
is the second fact on IMDb.
Go to the trivia section, look it up.
That's just.
It's awful.
It is not
awful, dude.
awful.
It's about a child losing their life.
That's true.
It's
Make-A-Wish
pretty,
Foundation.
It's pretty rough. I read it and I was like, that's so sad.
Make-A-Wish, fulfilling a wish.
Yeah. So,
I'm
sorry
for laughing.
all right, what didn't work for you guys?
Go ahead.
It's hard for me because I give this movie a lot of leeway when it comes to, the unrealistic aspects of it. Like when I see a house, I believe, like, not that I believe it. I know it's not real and it will never ever work. But
But
seeing
I
a house
believe it
float-
in that universe.
Yeah, in that universe, seeing a house float,
That's normal.
I love that. I definitely buy into what this universe is putting forward.
Okay. The first thing that didn't work for me, whenever they immediately land in Paradise Falls and they go through that whole adventure, it looks like they went back to the same spot they landed. Like when they land and they see that the falls is in front of them.
The falls, it looks like a long journey.
Yeah, it looks like that. And then whenever they, they go through that whole journey, they find Kevin, they sit the house down, or it's raining and it's all that stuff. And you see it still in the distance. It looks like they're in the exact same spot.
Like no progress
Like they
had
had
been made.
no progress. Like it looked like they wandered around and then went back. And I was like, why did they do that? I don't understand.
You know what I never understood either? When they first land, you look over and it looks like all they have in front of them is like flat path, flat rock. And then the next scenes, they're going through like this jungle area and all that stuff. And I'm like, it seemed like a pretty straightforward just walk.
Yeah, you just
walk
along the edge.
But they didn't do that.
No.
I was always curious as to why
Yeah, I'm not sure.
it wasn't just flat the entire time.
That was a thought that went through my head as well, because it looks like it's like a big horseshoe.
It does, yeah.
And my thought would have been like, if I want to get there, I'll just walk along the edge.
Just yeah. But no, they go through some
Yeah.
to get there. Yeah, I get that.
My second one. So Charles Muntz as a character is obsessed with finding this bird that people said that it was fake and all this stuff, and he got his rights as an yeah, essentially his whole name was defamed and his name was smeared through this whole scandal about not finding this bird. So my question is, if he's so desperate to clear his name, why does he kill everyone that tries to find the bird? Like, they would only help him in that situation.
Well, yeah,
why is he so obsessed with finding it and clearing his name, but then kills everybody that tries to find it?
Well,
maybe because he thinks they're going to use it for their own good.
yeah, he treats everyone as villains, and we don't get to see the previous interactions with the other like little head guys. But I think his thinking is, they've come to take his prize. They've come to take the bird for themselves, to gain popularity for themselves, and that's something he deserves because he literally hasn't been back for seems to be like 50 years now.
Yeah.
And he's dedicated his life to finding it. And it kind of probably drives him crazy too, that he's so...
I think he's insane. I think he is crazy.
Well, yeah, I think so. He's willing to kill people, and he has all these dogs to do it.
Yeah.
Like, his only companions are these dogs.
And there's no way to say he killed those people because he could feed those people to the dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Just when I was thinking about it, I was like,
collaborate.
yeah, like you guys could have helped each other.
Yeah.
Or like, even if they did take your prize, people would see it and then be like, oh man,
Oh,
this
he
was
wasn't
actually
crazy.
this was actually discovered by this guy. Oh man, we smeared his name when we shouldn't have. Let's give him the credit.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. It
Also,
was something
though-
I immediately thought about.
Also, though, I think it's not that he didn't know where the bird was. He knew where it was.
Yeah.
He just knew that he couldn't get to it because it was in the labyrinth of stones or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know why he didn't collaborate, but I just chalked it up to him being like wanting it for himself. Like it was an obsession of his hobby that brought him to kill people.
Okay. And then lastly for me, the movie was off to a really great start. For me, up until they landed in Paradise Falls. Like, once they landed in Paradise Falls and they went through this whole, finding Charles Muntz and, going through this whole adventure with one another, I don't know. It felt really paint by number after that to me. And it kind of, like, took me out of it a little bit. And after a while, I was just kind of like, okay, it's just, another Pixar movie that is going to, like, go through the same things. There's going to be a sad part and then, a redemption arc, and then, it's going to have an ending that's wholesome and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I kind of wish, like, it really had me, like, from the beginning all the way up until, like, when he starts to leave and it goes through the storm and all that stuff and everything. I was like, this seems like pretty wholly original. And then, afterwards I was like, okay, yeah, it kind of feels like, every other Pixar movie.
Yeah.
To me. So.
All right, I'll concede to that. It definitely, has a routine that it goes through.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
To me, it worked.
Yeah, I loved it. I think I loved that they make it to where they find Charles Muntz because he's in the beginning of the movie, and you would think maybe he's not going to be there anymore. At least when I first watched this, and putting him in the movie where he's still obsessed about that bird, and he's still on the mission to find it, and he said he won't return. I thought that worked.
Yeah, was that it for you?
Yeah, let's get into what did work.
Yeah, I'll immediately bring up his whole character. I just think all the characters in general are really good, but speaking of Charles Muntz, he's like kind of the antithesis of Carl. He's like if Carl would be completely devoted to his work. He's like on the opposite end of the spectrum. And it's cool to see that reflection of Carl
being so influenced by him, but finding his passions in other things and not being so obsessed, kind of like he was with the house, right? Yeah.
And it was a detriment to his life, just like Charles is, and it was a really nice antithesis of that.
Yeah.
To see that character, but characters in general, I enjoyed all of the development they got, all of the arcs that they all went on, especially Carl's. I think he's one of my favorite ones here. And what I had talked about earlier that I wanted to bring back up in regards to the house is, throughout the entire film, we know that the house symbolizes Ellie, and we know that he does not want to let her go. And, a way it's metaphorical, but also a physical attachment of that hose, the garden hose that he ties to himself. It's almost like he's carrying her along with him, right? And that's what the hose symbolizes, is his connection to him and Ellie. And once it gets to the very end, you know, it's that same garden hose, but now what it's connected to is the people he cares about now.
Yeah.
It's Russell and Kevin and Doug all on that hose. And to me, I thought it was a very subtle change in character and a very subtle, like, you know, it was very tiny. If you didn't catch it, fine. Doesn't make that big of a deal. But that I saw, I was like, oh, dude, that makes so much sense. And I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. Carl is essentially Kratos from God of War.
He goes, boy.
Yeah. he's going on this whole journey to fulfill his promise to his wife.
Yeah, on the
And
highest mountain.
Yeah, get up to the highest mountain to scatter her ashes.
It's seriously God of War.
Yeah, it's straight up God of War.
It seriously is, man. Now I'm going to think about it all differently. He has red paint right here. And
Yeah, he's going to tear Kevin limb from limb.
all right, what else worked for you, AB?
I put that this movie can make you go through some emotions.
Yeah,
And
the writing is very good in that
And
sense.
that's something that I really liked because I laughed. I got worried for Russell for a while. I cried, and it makes you feel emotions, and that's something I like when movies do that, and it's something that this movie does, and it makes you go through some emotions.
All right. I got to say, this movie's beautiful.
Yeah, and the way that I actually wrote that was the attention to detail is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love all the little Easter eggs they put in from previous Pixar movies, as well as just the attention to cinematography and scale. Like, you know, I want to bring up that still that you talked about where, you know, we see his house floating in that blue sky. Like, it feels so tiny compared to the vastness of what is, you know, the sky and all these clouds and stuff. And I think they really do a great job of just setting up how beautiful this world is and what the types of things that you can create and do with animation.
Yeah, I'm thinking of another still too where Kevin just gets taken away, and you know it's like the sun is going down, and it's a very wide, far back shot, and they're just walking, and you see Carl with the house, and then you see Russell slumped over. Dude, that's beautiful colors right there.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you that everything, whether it be cinematography or animation, was just top notch.
Yeah. What else?
I also wrote down that this movie, I feel like anybody can watch this movie and they will enjoy it.
Yeah, I kind of have something similar in the fact that, you know, it's a Pixar movie. You know what you're getting, and you know, it's something that, you know, you can put on and tune out, or it's something that, you know, you sit down, you know what you're going to get, and you can enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the one thing I did like was the audio motif of their theme together, Ellie and Carl's theme of that dun, 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 dun.
The married
Yeah.
theme.
They use that very often.
Yeah,
but they
in
do different renditions.
Yeah.
And it kind of to match the pacing of the film, whether it be action packed and you hear it go like, and it's got like all these, you know, percussion, all the guitar coming in, and I thought it was beautiful how they were able to, you know, use the imagination and fit that into almost every part of the film.
Yeah.
I think it was successful for me.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think that's it for me. I actually, the story. I really like the story.
I did too.
I think it hits some topics, like you get to find out that Russell's parents are divorced, and like it hits some topics that kind of hit home. So it's just nice. Like for instance, Carl says, "Hey, your dad never taught you how to do this," and then I was like, "Oh, my dad never taught me how to do that." Like, and I guess I liked it because I could kind of relate to Russell.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bringing up topics like that are brought up in Pixar films, it was reminding me earlier in the episode, I was thinking of, we were talking about gentrification a little bit, and I started thinking about what if Pixar made a movie that like tackled the topic of gentrification through like a kids movie.
That would be
It would be funny.
they'd
Or
probably
like,
knock it out of the park.
If Pixar just made like movies about heavy topics, like what if they straight up made a movie about like racism? Like
Honestly,
Well, okay.
a lot of people would realize.
a lot of people would like probably it would probably knock it out of the park. I'm not gonna lie.
No, yeah.
Well, it
and
depends
then-
on how they handle it. Because
Yeah.
I don't, especially with situations like that, I don't think you can handle that with subtlety.
Or no. Or
It
like
would have
what
to
about
be
like
like kind of in your face,
like wage equality?
oh,
like what if they did a Pixar movie about like, oh man, I don't make as much money because I'm a girl.
that would be
You know,
very
like
progressive.
yeah, like it was.
The world
I
will
just-
change.
I thought it was. I was just thinking about that.
Some heavy topics,
that
dude.
would be pretty.
They
funny.
probably they probably do. Some people could probably be like
Interpret it
yeah,
some way.
interpret it in some way that will support a claim that they made too.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. It was a funny thought.
Yeah. But bringing it back to the emotions you were talking about, I think Pixar they like to focus a lot on like human emotion.
Yeah,
and,
'cause
and
also,
individual emotion.
Anytime I think of emotion, and it's gonna sound so like basic, but I think of the movie Inside Out.
That's all about emotion.
It's all about emotion.
Same director as well.
Yeah, same director, and that movie makes you feel emotions
Mm-hmm.
like so much.
Yeah, and I love how it feels very realistic too, because the director, I had heard a quote that he based that movie on the changes in his daughter that he's been noticing. So he focuses a lot of his themes in real life and real human events, real human situations, which I enjoyed, and I just love how they handle it with like delicacy and care.
Yeah.
And they go to pretty good lengths just to incorporate some of these themes in a children's movie, like you were saying. I think that's what kind of, not only kids love it, but adults will find something that I think is very touching and
Yeah.
emotional.
All right. Anything else for what did work for y'all?
Nope, I think we hit it all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we hit it all.
All right. Who wins this movie? I put Carl.
Yeah,
I put Russell and Carl. I think about both.
yeah. So I put Carl. His name is Edward Asner.
Yes.
Is the voice actor for him.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
I chose Carl only because he had the greatest arc, the
Mhm.
biggest change.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
All right. What are some themes? I put never meet your idols.
they never meet up to your expectations. There's one quote too where he goes, "Oh, I finally get to meet my lifelong hero, and he's trying to kill me."
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I put letting go of grief and looking for purpose.
Like
I
that.
put two of them. I said adventure can be anywhere. You just gotta find it,
Mm,
and then your relationships are an adventure.
Very true.
like that.
Yeah, I think with you guys, it's we find something new every time we like hang out. We find something new to like laugh about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always super memorable.
Yeah.
So that's why I say like relationships, like my relationships with my brothers are always gonna be something funny or something dumb,
Mm-hmm.
and the same with you guys, like something funny, something dumb.
Yeah. It's like the
Yeah.
mundane stuff, kind of.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the boring. It's not boring.
Yeah, but it's not
But
like
it's
you
like-
can't make a movie out of it. You know,
It's
No.
it's the stuff you wouldn't write home about.
Yeah. And I wrote it down because I think it's true. I think your relationships are a big part of your life, and that's part of your adventure.
Yep, most definitely.
Definitely agree, 100%.
All right, what are we rating this movie?
This one was difficult for me only because, like, I don't know. Like, how do you rate it? Is it like, because it's a Pixar movie? It's like
and that's the thing. Like, when it comes down to rating this, I don't know. I have a hard time like critiquing and rating a kids movie.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to be like, well, the voice acting was not actually that great. In my, like it's
Yeah, or you-
you have to give it some slack.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It-
For me, it's probably gonna land at maybe about like a 6.
a 6 for you.
Yeah, like it's a great movie. You know what you're gonna get, and it has some great themes in it, and if you want to learn about your purpose or another character's purpose or something like that, it's definitely something that I could see a kid watching and learning a lot from. For me personally, it's just not necessarily one of my favorites, but I will say it was a good movie. It's above a 5, and
Yeah.
for me, if I give anything above a 5, I enjoyed it. So,
All right.
I gave it a 9.
all right,
I love this movie.
Yeah. So, in terms of the movie, I'm going to give it an 8.
mm-hmm.
But in terms of, like, Pixar films, it would be rated pretty high, and in my book that would be a 9 compared to all the other Pixar films.
Okay.
But as a movie in general, in regards to like everything I've ever seen, I think it's pretty perfectly at an 8.
All right.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, if that's it,
That's it.
for the episode, y'all. So if you guys stuck all the way to the end, we do appreciate y'all. Make sure that you are rating and reviewing the show and leaving comments, liking the videos, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that stuff. It really does help us and lets us know that you guys are liking what we are putting out. We also are really encouraged whenever you guys share the stuff. It's really interesting to, see where all of our listeners are in the world and, see where we're getting views at on YouTube and, which ones are our most viewed videos and most listened to episodes and all that stuff. So, again, we really appreciate y'all, and it really does help whenever you guys are interacting with that stuff rather than, just listening. So, we appreciate you guys, as always. If you want to get in contact with us or anything like that, everything that we are on or any methods of contact can be found in every episode description. We've got our Instagram, our email, all that stuff. Get in contact with us, get in contact with this little community that we've built up, and just hang out with one another and talk about film.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. So, all right, next week
Yeah, you're
is
next.
my pick, and I think
I'm really excited.
let me pull up the year of the film. Actually,
Hold on. If you can't find it, I got it.
I think it came out
It's
in
old, man.
1957.
Yeah, 57.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring it back, bring it back a little bit to 1957. I've never seen this movie. It's on my list. I don't think anyone.
But oh my gosh, my excitement for watching this movie is through the roof.
Yeah, it's a movie that has been on my list for a long time. I got the Criterion collection of it for Christmas, and
Beautiful.
I'm really excited to watch it. So we're gonna be checking out 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's high up there too. It's top number 5 on the top rated movie.
Yeah, it's
on IMDb.
Yeah, there's a list of the top 250 highest rated movies on IMDb, and this one sits at number 5.
Yeah.
And it came out in 1957. So if
Yeah.
it's still that high, I think it's only a testament to how great of a movie it can be. I think it's still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Seriously.
Holy cow, really?
Yeah.
I'm expecting some incredible stuff here.
Yeah, and as far as I know about as much as you, Nick, that it is a film about a juror of 12 men who are deciding the fate of a person. That's it. That's all I know.
And that's all I feel like I want to know going into it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I'm not going to read anything about it. I'm not going to look at any reviews, nothing. I want to go in and know just that and experience it for myself. So we're going to come back next week with an episode on 12 Angry Men.
Is it streaming?
Yes, it is streaming currently on Prime Video. So if you got Amazon Prime, it is on there, and you should be able to stream it.
All right.
So, again, check out 12 Angry Men and check back in with us next week to hear what we have to say about that film. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.